We do have some breaking news here, Chris, and I know you got your phone in your hand, so I don't know if you've seen it already or not, but Jayson Tatum named to the first team for All-NBA, and Jaylen Brown named second team All-NBA. So let's start with Jaylen Brown making second team All-NBA, because obviously that means a lot as far as the contract implications and everything else. Congratulations to Jaylen on that, and Jayson as well. But let's get to bringing the heat, brought to you by Eastern Propane and Oil. They are in your neighborhood. And this is his first career All-NBA selection. He averaged a career high 26.6 points per game, shot almost 50% from the field, 7 rebounds a game. So he's now eligible to sign a 5-year, $295 million supermax contract extension this offseason, Chris. And that would be the biggest part here, is the Celtics' ability to offer him more money than everybody else to keep the Jays together for, another handful of years.
Yeah, first off, the cool thing I think is that he's also landed on second team All-NBA. What an accomplishment for a player who, has sort of been knocking on the door of where does he rank? Is he a top 15 guy in the NBA? And for him to really kind of kick that down this year, in a year where he knew the contract status loomed over everything, is impressive to me. So just like you said, 5 years, $290 million. That number seems to keep going up every time they inflate the salary cap. You can get 35% of the cap starting the season after next, on the books for $30.7 million next year. But the ability for the Celtics to put that contract in front of him is monstrous, because now you get a chance to lock up your core. The other thing here at play, Tatum is now eligible for a supermax in the summer of 2024. It's going to be like $314 million over 5 years. That's a lot of money, $500 million between your two superstars. And yet, knowing that you're going to have that core moving forward sure makes Brad Stevens' life a little bit easier. Now he's got to fill in the parts around him and make sure they got the right guys. But there's no reason why Jaylen shouldn't be intrigued by this offer. I think it's, a little bit of a slam dunk at this point for those two sides to sit down and say, okay, are we taking this thing deep into the future? And what a luxury, because the Celtics could only offer him $4,190, even with the new CBA, had it not triggered the All-NBA. And I think Jaylen would have probably played out next season. It would have been a huge storyline, and it would have lingered over everything. But now you can actually get to the table this summer, and maybe, depending on how everything ends, there's a chance to feel pretty good about knowing that your core guys are here deep into the future.
I also like the idea of them just knowing right now, right? So it's like Jaylen Brown now knows that he's second team. He knows that the Supermax is, hopefully going to be on the table for him to sign with the Celtics here, and what his future is going to be, and that he doesn't have to worry about it next year, which means hopefully that's somewhat of a relief, and that it helps them here in this playoff run, as they need to get 2 wins here against Philadelphia, down 3-2 in the series. Let's get back to Jayson Tatum, though, and a little more on the honor for him. Obviously, he was in the conversation for MVP, finished 4th in voting for NBA MVP. But for him to make first team All-NBA 2 years in a row now, quite an accomplishment there for JT.
Yeah, it just hammers home what we already know. He's one of the best. I mean, selfishly, because it's coming at a weird time in the Celtics world, I'm left thinking, okay, I need both those guys to go out there and show why they are all NBA talents, how they, as a group, can differentiate themselves from every other team in the league and be big in big moments. But certainly for Tatum, it's just like another confirmation, another checkbox along the way. Now, it does trigger his criteria, two of the 3 preceding seasons before he reaches extension eligible. And so I go back to it. He's going to have a big offer. He lost out on a lot of money because he didn't get All-NBA a couple years ago. Here's a chance to recoup some of that. Not that he needs it with all that shoe money now and all that stuff going on, but it matters for guys to be both respected by their peers, and because it factors into their money to get that validation. So, yeah, both players should feel pretty good. I hope at a tumultuous time again in this Celtics path that this brings a little bit of clarity and an ability to focus on the task at hand. A reminder that while this is a very much an individual accomplishment, it does reflect back on your team, the success they've had. It would ring a little hollow if you don't find a way to maximize it on the court and keep this playoff streak alive. So just another thing off their minds, a little bit more focused on the 76ers.
Can I just ask you about the contracts? Because I think for some of us, we look at it and it's $600 million combined for the two guys, if they give them the Supermax. And also when you talk about the percentage of the salary cap, and it does become challenging then to fill out the rest of your roster when you're committing that much money to 2 players. But they're going to offer them both the Supermax, right?
Oh, of course. And
Yeah.
so what I would tell everybody is it's a lot easier to figure out all the pieces around them than to get the two pillars of the organization. I fully expect that they'll put that in front of them. I would be stunned if they do not get signed, and then you kind of figure it out. And yes, the new CBA is a little prohibitive. Brad Stevens, Mike Zarin, challenges on you now to figure out how you get the most out of everybody around them.